If I could go back 20 years in time and have a conversation with a young mid-20s Rob Gardner about what a poker career looks like, the first thing I'd say is stay away from that cocktail waitress. But in all seriousness, I would have a lot of advice that I've learned over the last 20 years. And fortunately for you, I can pass that advice along to you today and save you years of frustration and slower progress by learning from the mistakes that I made. My name's Rob Gardner. I am a 20+ year poker professional who loves talking to poker players about their poker dreams, their goals, and helping them get the most out of the game of poker. And while I'm only in my mid-40s and have a lot of life left, hopefully, I've got a lot of years of wisdom and mistakes racked up, and it's time to pass that on today. So here are 5 lessons I wish I knew at the beginning of my poker career that you can know today. Lesson 1 is that profit does not equal progress. It's a natural thing for poker players. They work hard, they put a lot of time and investment and energy into their game, and when they finally get that big score, there is this feeling of validation and success and accomplishment that leads them to believe that they've made it to the end goal, the end destination, they've finally beaten the end boss, and they're ready for the next level. But poker is such a high variance game that losing over a streak doesn't necessarily mean you're bad, and winning over a streak doesn't necessarily mean you're good. There were too many times where I got a big score, immediately jumped up in stakes, and then just gave tons of those winnings back instead of having a nice cushion for the stakes I was playing at. The reality of the situation is, if you get a big score and that means you've finally gotten to the next level in your game, you should be able to repeat that score with more consistency than you've had in the past. Meaning you can stick around a little bit longer and let the results play out and get some sample size before you try to move up in games. And also, just because you can move up in stakes doesn't necessarily mean you need to. Sometimes a 50% ROI at low stakes is less stressful and more fun than a 30% ROI at mid stakes. The second lesson I would teach myself is that you do not have to study like a solverbot to get great at this game. The analogy is very similar to going to the gym. Going to the gym for 30 minutes to an hour a day is very, very effective. But if you were to go to the gym for 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, 4 hours a day, each hour you add has massively diminishing returns on your ability to gain strength and get more fit. Poker works the same way. We always want to just prove ourselves by putting in these really long study sessions and trying to memorize lots of solver spots, thinking that that's going to help us get to the next level. What we need to remember is the first 15 minutes of poker study a day is by far the most valuable study we can have. And sometimes making sure that 15 minutes is very fruitful and effective is way better than trying to cram 2 hours of study in on any given day. I was so obsessed with trying to grow so fast, so quick to prove myself that I wasted a lot of time and energy being very inefficient with my study, when if I could have just consistently grown and learned one concept a week over the course of the first couple years of my career, I would have been a completely different player. The third lesson I would teach myself, and maybe strangle myself in the process, is that playing the wrong games is one of the fastest ways that you can burn out. Again, because of all my crazy motivations of wanting validation and trying to prove myself, I always wanted to play for the biggest stakes. I wanted to play the most impressive tournaments. I wanted to win the biggest prizes. I wanted to chase bracelets and trophies. It was all a prove myself motivation factor, when what I should have been doing was playing games that matched my schedule, matched my skill set, matched my attention span, my risk tolerance, games that set me up for success. I can't tell you how many times I played tournaments until 5 a.m. and I spent the last 4 hours of that tournament falling asleep at the computer. It was so stupid. Game selection is everything emotionally and financially. And the more you set yourself up for consistent success, the more realistic some of those far-fetched goals become. Lesson 4 that I would teach myself is that the people that surround you in poker matter more than the strategies you're learning today. Again, that probably sounds crazy to you in principle, but it really, really matters. A lot of times I can tell whether a poker player is going to be successful in the long run or not just by the types of people they surround themselves with. Are you surrounded by people who are going to lift you up when you're struggling, who are going to bring the best out of you when you're not at your best? Or are you around the types of people that are going to encourage you to degen and make bad decisions, who find entertainment from your failure? Nobody in this game finds long-term success without a crew. It's just plain and simple. You need to surround yourself with people who have similar goals, similar mindsets, similar beliefs, and you can learn from each other's mistakes. It's such a valuable tool. If you don't have poker friends or you don't have a poker community, drop a comment below and I'll shoot you some information on a place where you can meet some people and make some connections, because everybody in this game needs to be around a group of people that they can grow in the game with together. And then the final lesson, and probably the most important lesson I would tell myself from 20 years ago, is that you and you alone get to decide what success looks like in poker. The second you let anybody else define what success looks like for you, you're sunk. Because in essence, your poker game just becomes a slave to what other people tell you matters. I can't tell you how many years I wasted chasing validation, chasing respect, chasing confidence, because I thought if I could convince my peers that I was an elite player, I would get the respect I deserved and I would be treated like the player I deserved to be. One of the most pivotal points in my poker career was the day I decided to play for myself and myself alone. I stopped trying to prove myself to others. I stopped trying to get accomplishments in poker to make it. There is no making it. Instead of worrying about what anybody else thinks about your game, set your own goals, reach your own goals, and take pride in the goals you've accomplished. If you can't find joy out of accomplishing your goals without somebody patting you on the back and telling you good job, then you're never going to find happiness in this game, because you're always going to be disappointed. On the flip side, when you can learn to find joy in reaching your goals and you have self-satisfaction from that, that is a joy that nobody can take away from you. Poker is so much more fun when you embrace your own poker career and you embrace your own poker identity. And I'm glad it only took me 20 years to learn these lessons instead of 60, because I got a lot of tread left on these tires, and I look forward to enjoying this game for many years to come. If you got anything out of this or you have any questions or comments, drop them below. I love to respond to viewer comments, and make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so you can get notifications when our strategy videos come out every single week, as well as my daily shorts that cover more strategy tips and my own personal poker journey. We'll be back next week when I answer a controversial question: is it still possible to make $100,000 a year playing poker?